You think you're arguing about dishes. Or maybe it's the way they didn't reply to your message fast enough. It can come from emotional neglect, repeated rejection, growing up without safety, or never feeling fully seen or understood. Or trauma through enmeshment, where your boundaries were constantly crossed. You might have developed an avoidant attachment style. That shows up as pulling away when things get too close. If you were raised in a household where conflict meant yelling, blame, or punishment, your mind may associate disagreement with danger. So now, even healthy disagreements in your relationship might trigger a fight-or-flight response. Your body floods with cortisol, and suddenly you're reacting to your partner as if they're a threat, not because they are. If you've spent years not being treated with care, affection, or consistency, real love might feel foreign. When someone is kind to you, your mind doesn't know how to receive it. You deserve to feel safe, heard, and seen. And the first step to receiving that love is understanding how trauma shapes your behavior, so you can slowly unlearn the patterns that no longer serve you. Healing doesn't happen overnight. It's slow, messy, and uncomfortable at times. But it's possible. And every step you take towards self-awareness is a step toward deeper connection, not just with others, but with yourself. You might push them away, feel suspicious, or feel undeserving. You might even find yourself more attracted to people who hurt you, because pain feels more familiar than peace. That's one of the cruelest effects of trauma. It tricks you into thinking dysfunction is comfort. But because your brain can't tell the difference between the present and the past. This is why small arguments sometimes feel so massive. You're not broken, dramatic, or unlovable. What you're feeling is a reflection of what you've been through, not who you are. Trauma doesn't make you weak, it means you survived. But survival patterns are not the same as relationship patterns. What protected you once may now be sabotaging the very thing you crave most: deep, healthy love. Healing begins with awareness. It begins when you stop blaming yourself and start becoming curious about your own reactions. When you pause in the middle of conflict and ask, is this my current reality, or an old wound resurfacing? That moment of reflection can change everything. You're not reacting to what just happened, you're reacting to everything it reminds you of. You may love someone deeply, you can heal. You can grow. And yes, you can have love that feels like peace, not pain. If you had to keep others happy to stay safe as a child, maybe you were the peacekeeper. The caretaker, the fixer. You might carry that into your adult love life. You avoid conflict, silence your needs, and focus entirely on keeping your partner happy. You lose yourself in the relationship. You fear setting boundaries because you're terrified of being seen as difficult or unlovable. But constantly putting others first isn't love, it's survival disguised as generosity. And over time, it leads to resentment, burnout, and emotional exhaustion. But feel suffocated when they express too much emotion or ask for closeness. You crave connection but fear being consumed by it. You might withdraw during conflict, shut down emotionally, or pretend you don't care to avoid being vulnerable. That's not coldness, it's a protection built from a past where closeness equaled pain. The human mind is designed to survive pain by adapting. So when you go through something that overwhelms your emotional system, your brain stores that experience as a warning. If your trust was broken repeatedly, by a parent, a partner, a friend, your mind stores that betrayal as a danger signal. So now, you second-guess everyone's intentions. You wait for the other shoe to drop. You read between every line, looking for betrayal before it happens. You call it being cautious, but it's actually fear disguised as logic. And unless that fear is healed, even good partners will feel like a threat, simply because you're still carrying the pain of the past. It creates protective strategies, like shutting down emotionally, avoiding confrontation, needing control, or pushing people away before they can hurt you. The problem is, these strategies may have kept you safe in the past, but they now show up in your adult relationships as walls, triggers, and emotional confusion. You tell yourself, it's not a big deal, I'm just overreacting. But deep inside, there's a knot in your chest, a voice whispering, they don't care about you. Your heart races, your mind spins with thoughts of abandonment, betrayal, or being left behind. And before you know it, you've either shut down, exploded, or started questioning everything. That's not just moodiness or being too sensitive. What you're experiencing could be trauma, silently showing up in your relationship. Trauma doesn't always come with loud signs. Sometimes it wears the disguise of overthinking, people-pleasing, fear of closeness, or a constant need for reassurance. You don't even realize it as trauma, because you've lived with it for so long, it just feels like you. But once you begin to understand how trauma hides inside everyday reactions, you start to see your relationships differently. In this video, we're going to explore how unhealed trauma quietly influences your romantic life, and how to break free from its grip. Trauma doesn't only come from dramatic, life-threatening events. For example, if your trauma came from abandonment, say, a parent left, was emotionally distant, or made you feel invisible, your mind might have developed hypervigilance. In your relationship, this could look like constantly needing reassurance, fearing being ignored, or interpreting silence as rejection. You might overanalyze every text, assume the worst, or spiral when someone takes space. It's not because you're needy, it's because your nervous system is wired to anticipate loss. This fear is deep, and it doesn't respond to logic. That's why no amount of "they said they love me" can quiet the anxiety. Until that wound is addressed, relationships will feel like walking on emotional eggshells. On the flip side, if you experienced emotional suffocation, control, trauma also shows up in how you argue. Another subtle way trauma enters relationships is through people-pleasing. Even trust issues often have trauma beneath them. Trauma can even affect the way you receive love. If any of this sounds like you, please know, there is nothing wrong with you. You deserve to be loved gently. If this video helped you see something differently, share your experience in the comments. And remember, your past may shape you, but it does not define you.